Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This one's going to be the most fun video for a lot of people, is trying to work out which cash cows are going to be the best to put in your team this week. So guys, with cash cows, it's a little bit of a speculation with most of them, in terms of these are guys that usually haven't played a game, maybe only played a few games over a few seasons, and they have a chance now to make a name for themselves. So a lot of these bets are going to be speculative. So what we're going to talk about in a lot of this is the risk to reward ratio. So is it going to be worth it to bring in these guys? A lot of time there's not a lot of risk because they're such a low price. The risk is if you bring them in and they don't play very well over those first few games, they could get dropped, and then you've got a guy sitting in there not scoring any points, not making any money, and it's very difficult to trade out of your team because of his low price tag. So think really carefully guys when you are bringing in a cash cow, and there'll be a few things that we'll talk about in terms of our criteria to be able to pick a cash cow. So our criteria includes how many minutes we think they're going to be able to play, what position they play, how long we think they'll get in the team. And so the first person we're going to talk about is Thomas Flagler. So he's obviously played a little bit for the Broncos now over the last few seasons, and it seems he's been given increased minutes in these first few games, and he's really been able to take advantage of those extra minutes. When we're looking at Flagler, it's easy to see that he's taken a step forward in his game. He's running the ball harder, he's making more tackle busts, he's really getting in there and making those tackles as well. So that's going to be the first plus with Flagler there. Issue I see with him in terms of his minutes going forward is the fact that Matt Lodge is on the bench, hopefully this week, which you'll then see him move back into the starting side and get those bigger minutes, with Flagler moving back into maybe that 35 to 40 range, whereas currently he's in that 50 to 55. So big difference there. The Flagler spot in the team, I feel, is really safe. Only thing I think is he's going to be on the bench instead of in the starting side. And Flagler's ability to make money, I think, at this stage is really high, given that he's got a negative break even. He's starting this week, most likely. And I believe he should score big again this week. So something you can have in your starting team, scoring you points. The only thing to worry about is how long that's going to last. I feel like if he's going to be going back to the bench, there's a good chance that he's going to be scoring between 30 to 40 at a maximum. So it's being able to work out, is that worth it for you to bring him in right now? Me personally, I'm toying with that fact. Is he worth bringing in? For those people that already have him, then perfect. You've already made a lot of money, and you should make a lot more. I'd say between 100 and 200k extra from this position. So if you're someone that's buying, is it worth bringing him in right now? That's going to be the question. And I say, I think it is worth it. If you've got someone that you can trade like for like, maybe it's a Jack Williams to Flagler at a similar price tag, then that could be good for you. I wouldn't move heaven and earth just to bring him in though. So have a think about that with your own team and see if he's worth it for you. Alright, next one we'll talk about Fogarty from the Titans. So he's been given that spot at number 7 with a little bit of a shuffle around the team. In terms of his job security, I see it as being probably a 70% chance that he stays in for a long time. Since this news of Brimson being injured, they've shuffled their team to be able to go, okay, this is what we're going to be for the long term, and that's what I'm thinking. So Fogarty, if he plays well, I think he can keep the spot, but if he doesn't, there's a good chance that he might be moved on, and they might shuffle back to what they had before, putting Sammy back at fullback rather than on the wing, and trying that again. My issue for Fogarty is his position in a bad team. So playing 7 in a Titans team, which is most likely going to come last, proves to be a little bit of an issue in terms of him getting attacking stats that he's most likely going to need. When you're playing next to Ash Taylor's going to take a lot of the kick meters, so he'll be down on there. And the biggest thing for him is, will he be able to tackle at this level? Given he's only played 2 games, is he ready for that? Is he going to be missing a lot of tackles? And with the chance that he's not going to be getting a lot of attacking stats, I don't feel like he's someone that is extremely worth bringing into your team right now. I know he's a basement price, but I don't know if there's the ability there to make a lot of money, especially before we've seen him play a game this year. So for me, it's going to be a wait and see. I'd say wait the week, see how he plays. If he plays really well and he's someone that's really good at getting those base stats, then maybe it's worth bringing him in at that cheap price. He's only going to gain a little bit of money if he goes well, so I'd wait on that one. Moving on to Harry Grant, as I said in the previous video, he's been highly touted as a really good young hooker. So he's now made that move to the Tigers, and he's been given the number 9 spot straight away over Billy Walters, which means they have an opinion of him as well. With Harry Grant, I believe he is worth bringing into your team right now. As a number 9, a young number 9 getting 50 to 60 minutes, the chances of him averaging 40 and gaining 200k plus is extremely high. As you've seen with a lot of the hookers over the last few years, been a lot of young hookers come in, been given that opportunity to play the 50, 60 minutes, and have done really well, averaging 40 plus. So for him, I see it as a no-brainer. There's a reason the Tigers wanted to bring him over. They now have him, and he's been put in that straight in that number 9 position, given that chance, and I think he'll be doing well there. The only thing to think about there is if he doesn't play very well, they have Billy Walters there on the bench, and they could easily switch positions with Walters getting the higher minutes and Grant getting the lower minutes to split that role there. So that's just something to think about, but I do think the Harry Grant is a buy. If you're not sure on this week, I'd say definitely next week. Once you've seen him play, if he scores over 40 and does really well, I'd say definitely get him in your team. Moving on to the Knights, we've got the young centre in Shibasaki. He's really impressed me the first few weeks, especially from an NRL Fantasy perspective. He's been able to get 33 and 34 just in base stats. Obviously with a few tackle busts in there, so he's making sort of that 15 tackles, a bit over 100 metres, and then 3 or 4 tackle busts with not many missed tackles. So this is really good to see for a centre, and I see him as someone that can average that mid-30s, 35 to 40, in a Knights team that's predicted to do well this year. I see him as a high chance of scoring a few tries over the season and bumping some scores up to the 50 range, with his base being in the mid-30s. So I definitely see him as a buy if you're lacking someone in the wing fullback and centre position. He's dual position there. And with the way he's been playing, I'd say his job is fairly secure, with Tuala being a good chance of being replaced by Bradman Best when he is back to full health and ready to go. Other thing to think of is he's not at basement price, he's in the mid-300s, which still puts him in the cash cow bracket, but he'll definitely make less money than he would if he was basement price. He's already had a few price rises, so just seeing if that's worth it for you to bring him in your team. If you need him right now, if you need a centre or a wing fullback, he's definitely a good option at that price point. The last ones we're going to talk about is our 2 big forwards in Tanua Brown and also Toby Rudolph. So we'll start with Tanua Brown. He's actually been given the starting spot this week. As I've said in previous videos, the Warriors team are a little bit flaky in terms of how they pick their team, but Tanua Brown's been elevated from that bench spot to the starting side, which I believe gives him a chance to increase his minutes, sort of 10 to 15 minutes, averaging somewhere between 40 and 50 minutes. And the way his PPM was just under 1 over those first 2 games. There's a good chance that he can average between 30 and 40, which would be awesome for his price rises, as he's only just a little bit over basement price. So from the eye test, so his first few games, he did look good. He looked like he was a chance of scoring well. Only issue with him is he's on the Warriors. The job security that he has is probably not the highest. But again, if he's someone you already have in your team, perfect. If he's someone you don't, I'd say Toby Rudolph is going to be your better bet. Looks like he's sewn up that bench forward position. If you compare him to Jack Williams in the round 2 game, he was 2 to 3 times better than him. Running really hard, tackling hard, no misses. Someone that really suits that Sharks pack. So he's replacing some of the bigger forwards in Sharks who are really good, and it's a bit of a like-for-like replacement in terms of you're not losing much when he comes on the field. So I'd say his security is there compared to someone like Billy Magoulias, who played amazingly in round 2, but his security is not there. He'll be someone that'll be in and out week to week. So Toby Rudolph averaging close to 40 over those first 2 rounds at a really low price. Being a forward, it's all just in base stats, the tackling and the runs. So I think he is going to be the better bet over Tanua Brown, especially over this next month. I feel like he's going to be making a little bit more money. And even though Tanua Brown has been put into the starting side this week, I think Rudolph is going to be the safer bet. When he's on the field, he seems to just work extremely hard, which is perfect for what we want out of a front row forward cash cow. So there you go, guys. They are the cash cows for round 3. Let me know what you think with them. Which ones are you bringing into your team? Which ones are you not sure about? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.